doing it now, we're not using any technology. Quite interactive.
Is that no?
Probably, yeah.
No, so yes, I mean we're literally doing it now. We do lots of it, and we've done workshops on using not technology at all. Using plaster of Paris, and because it's.
And were they responsive or interactive in the way that I think we kind of when we've been meeting them tonight?
I mean, when you push a button, something happens.
Yeah.
And that's like mechanical engineering. That's Victorian. That's how cars came. That's all of that kind of wooden pinball machines. All of that is just a development. And I mean, we like sculpture that doesn't use any electricity. I'm sure we will one day. But as it happens, the people who work in our studio have a particular skill set. And when that skill set becomes, when we don't know how to do something, we talk to someone else who does know how to do it. And then we learn how to do it too. So I think you work with the tools you've got, and then when you get fascinated by stuff, like they do paper cutting, so we'll do some paper cutting one day. It doesn't really matter, but I kind of see what the point is. In a way, we just...
We're actually creating a chandelier at the moment, which is going into, it's a 13-metre across chandelier that's going into a station out in the Middle East. And that's actually creating an interactive space. We're interested in creating spaces that change, spaces that engage with people. And there's nothing changing except the way the sunlight is coming through the holes at the top of the building. There's no gizmos, no electronics. The sun goes across the sky. The sunlight comes through, hits the prism, and it changes the space throughout the day. So absolutely, we're interested in spaces.
Fantastic. And the Thomas Heatherwick building at the Shanghai Expo as well, which is a bit of a beauty. And that's very much about the kind of the light and the space. And I think that's it's a facilitator, isn't it, rather than anything else.
For us, it's when we're doing it ourselves as a UK startup. There's a couple of things. First is, I talked about earlier, is about failure. Spending time try not to cover up failure or pretend that it didn't happen. Spend some time reflecting on it, trying to work out what went wrong. Spending quite a bit of time looking at that, making space for that in the organisation. And the other is breaking down departments. If you've got departments in your organisation, just try and drop them. Try and look at project-based work. Try and look at bringing people together that can actually do the job, rather than that's technology, that's creative, that's business. So try to break down the silos in your organisations, and stretch people to multitask, to be able to do lots of different things. Because from one department, someone might be really good at another.
Yeah, there's something to be said for the size of a team. Someone referred me to. We're 4 people in the office, and I created the business with someone who works in Milan, and if I don't know what's going on in the room, there's something wrong. And someone referred me to a concept that Amazon has, because you have to think innovation, you have to think how does it work in a business. And Amazon considers their team size as 2 pizza teams. If you can feed your team with 2 pizzas, you can get stuff done. And I think it's a really interesting model.
Unless you're really hungry.
Yeah.
I guess the way we do it is no one has the same skill set, and no one actually works in the job that they're actually skilled at, if you know what I mean. So we've got a really fantastic architect who doesn't do that much architecture, but he's there, we're all there. And that kind of challenge and doing new work all the time, and kind of having a bit of a low boredom threshold. I've noticed that when we try and talk about stuff, what should we do, or where should we go, in a way, people are really drawn to learning new things, and in a way we often run off too fast in one direction, but that is the kind of curiosity and that excitement that's there. So it's a way of sort of managing that curiosity for the new, and also really developing, as well what you already know, and extending that out.
I think the things I mentioned before about being open, collaboration, convergence, and I think fundamentally everyone's really creative, but you're told you're not, so you have these sort of suits and creative scenarios. I've always been in between. I've never understood that. I kind of whatever I've done, I've always done lots of different things. That's what excites me. I don't understand those barriers and those boundaries. Probably why I didn't go to college. But I think it's really important to think, to think outside of your department and to get people to work together and be more fluid. Which, in a business sense, you've got to be very brave to take that on, especially when you're very large. But it's really, I think more and more companies have to do it. Otherwise, they're going to lose people in lots of ways.
Absolutely. And one thing I was going to ask is about small companies. Obviously, you all work in small companies, small collaborative groupings. I mean, how big do you think it takes before you start to lose the kind of essence of your business, which is all very niche and very creative? And do you think it's...
I've got 700 people, so...
Well, that's not too bad then.
I don't know, I mean, we've got to get across this idea of letting go, to a certain degree. I'm probably not the best person because I do direct a festival, so there's an element of control there. But essentially, I think everyone needs to kind of let go, and that's kind of sense of shared ownership as opposed to individual ownership. But it's a mindset thing, and I think it is changing, but it takes a long time because we're so built in to protect our work, and I think our work is actually what we share, not what we keep. So if you want something from me, you've got to pay for it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to tell you anything until you give me the money.
There's a phrase for that in Sweden that I've learned, it's called killing your own babies. And they say it quite a lot, don't be scared of killing your own babies. And that, like wake you up in a meeting, don't let things go. If that's not working, and so for us it's being small and lean, it's not about being big, it's being able to be, it doesn't matter about size, it's about how quickly you can move. Like, it's a business. So yes, killing your own babies wake me up during my induction.
Guys?
Just partnership really that deal with it, because if you keep extending and extending, then you find yourself exceeding the machine, when actually you could just talk to someone you know and they can do it with you on a temporary basis and you both gain, and then you don't have these overheads that continue to grow and grow and grow, which then create divisions and departments and blah 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 and the rest.
And I've actually got the reverse approach, which is that I try to keep the team as small as it requires us to be without having a separate meeting room. If I need a separate meeting room to meet people or to meet clients or to meet anyone, that means suddenly I have to have a meeting about what I've just said during that meeting and inform everybody, and I've just added half a day to my life. So I try to keep the team as big as will fit into the studio we have at the moment, and right now it's quite small. And to try to control how many freelancers we deal with, we basically have 2 people outside of our organization we work with constantly, because I want people to learn inside. I want them to actually figure it out. I want us to not necessarily rely on other people, but actually be able to, work on the problem. I could ask someone else, but I could also just do some work. So we've tended to do that a lot.
Fantastic.